Sort of imagine it, you know. Water so cold you can't feel your hands. This painting is a tribute to my father, my great-great-grandfather, to a memory that didn't exist. Lies upon lies. My family didn't come from much. And fishing that far north, in the Arctic Pole, it was for the money. And though there be danger, my family had to eat. So my great-great-grandfather and his father, they fished that pole. They left with nothing but their hands and a revolver. Silly if you ask me, fishing with a revolver. But my great-great-grandfather's father always carried it with him. Superstitious, I think he was. And cautious, maybe. But they fished that pole for months. Men losing toes, fingers, and the cold got a lot of them. But not my great-great-grandfather or his father. Tough Irishmen they were, but resentful. On the final day of their journey, my great-great-grandfather and his father was out, much like in the painting you see here. I wish I could say that that was the end, that their last day was in sunshine and peace. The truth is, my great-great-grandfather's father, he saw out of the corner of his eye that mighty rainbow, and he became drawn to it, and what might be at its end. So they dropped their nets and paddled toward the bow. And there, sure enough, glittering in the sunlight, was a pot of gold, bigger than they had ever seen. But they weren't alone. Guarding that there treasure was a leprechaun. Feisty bugger he was, bouncing like a rabbit and scratching like a cat. They couldn't get near it. With this, my family would never have to worry about food again. My great-great-grandfather wouldn't leave empty-handed. He was tired. His hands were beaten and raw. It was time for quieter days. So, my great-great-grandfather's father pulled out the revolver that he had always carried with him and put a bullet between the leprechaun's eyes. All that magic was no match for gunpowder. They took the leprechaun and packed the gold, and they brought him back to the ship. They wrapped up the leprechaun and buried him at sea. It was a nice gesture, but it wouldn't be enough. One does not simply go killing leprechauns without paying the price. Later that night, the ship caught fire. And my great-great-grandfather, he escaped with his life. He swam to the icy rock, and there he watched his father, the ship, and the gold burn and sink to the bottom of the sea. Another ship found my great-great-grandfather nearly frozen in the Arctic morning. They brought him home. His father gone. My father told me that story when I was but a wee lad. It's the kind of thing that sticks with you, you know. But the truth is, my great-great-grandfather, he returned to the Arctic Pole in the years that followed. And every once in a while, he'd see a rainbow cast upon the rock. And he'd think of his father. And he'd say to himself, never mess with a leprechaun, or they'll burn you alive.